Morning Year 6. Today we're going to have a look at dividing by 2-digit numbers. Now you might be straight away starting to think about needing to do chunking, but just to remind you that if you are able to use your times tables, you don't need to do chunking. So for this question here, dividing by 12, I already know my 12 times tables. So I don't actually need to do a long division working out for this. I can do it as my normal bus stop method. So I'm going to write down 324 divided by 12, and then I'm going to think about my 12 times table. So how many 12s go into 3? None. So I'm going to pop a 0 there, and I'm going to carry my 3. How many 12s go into 32? Well, I know that 2 lots of 12 are 24, and I know that 3 lots of 12 are 36. 36 is obviously too many, so I'm going to pop 2. I know 2 lots of 12 was 24, so to get from 24 to 32, I've got 8 left over. And then I'm going to think how many 12s go into 84, and I know that that is using my 7 times tables. 7 times 12 is 84, so my answer would be 27. So I haven't needed to use anything more complicated than the bus stop method for that division, because it was still within my times tables knowledge. Okay, so that's really important to use that to help you to start with. Now for this next question, I'm looking at 1,144 divided by 26. Now 26 is a bigger number. It's not a number that I know off by heart, it's times tables. So we're going to think about using our chunking method to answer this question. So I'm going to write out my question again and pop it in the bus stop. Now, if you remember, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to write our helpful list. Okay, and the important thing about your helpful list is that it's correct, because otherwise it's not going to be very helpful. So in my helpful list, I'm going to think about my 26 times tables. So I'm going to do 1 times 26, which I know is 26. I'm going to do 2 times 26, because I can double that quite easily. I know that double 20 is 40 and double 6 is 12. So altogether, if I added 40 and 12, it would give me 52. I'm going to do 10 lots of 26, which means I'm just multiplying this number here by 10, 260. And I'm going to do 20 lots of 26, which means it's just 10 times bigger than 2 lots. So that would be 520. I could go to 100 lots, but that would give me 2,600. And then if I look back at my number, that would be too big. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to look at my helpful list. And the biggest number, the biggest chunk of 26 I can take away is going to be 520. So I'm going to line it up here, 520. And I'm going to remember to put in brackets next to it how many chunks of 26 that was. It was 20. Okay, and then I'm going to take that chunk away and see what I'm left with. So 4 take away 0 is 4. 4 take away 2 is 2. 1 take away 5 I can't do. So I'm going to steal from that one there, make that a 0, make that 11. 11 take away 5 is 6. So I'm left with 624. So I'm going to have a look at my chunks. And actually the biggest chunk I can take away from 624 is another chunk of 520. So I'm going to do another 520, and remember to put in brackets that that is 20 lots of 26 makes 520. And when I subtract that, I do 4 take away 0 is 4, 2 take away 2 is 0, 6 take away 5 is 1. So I'm left with 104. So I'm looking at the chunks that I've got here now, and I can see that I can't take this chunk away because it's too big. I can't take away 10 lots of 26 because that's too big. So the next chunk I can take away is a chunk of 52. So I know I can take away a chunk of 52. Now, some of you might have already spotted that 2 lots of 52 is the same as 104. So you could do that straight away, but I'm going to do it one at a time just to make sure that I'm right. So that is a chunk. I nearly wrote down that was 1 lot of 26, but that's obviously wrong. It's 2 lots of 26. So I need to make sure that as I'm writing these down, that I'm writing these down accurately as well. Otherwise, I'm going to get myself in a pickle. 4 take away 2 is 2. 0 take away 5 you can't do, so you steal from the 1. 10 take away 5 is 5. and then I can see I can take away another chunk of 52, which is 2 lots of 26, and that will get me down to 0, okay, which is exactly where we want to be. And then I'm looking at my chunks that I've written at the side here, because this is going to tell me my answer. And that's why it's really important that I got that one right. I corrected myself there, because if I'd put 1 there, I'd think my answer was 43. But actually, I know the answer is 20, 40, 42, 44. So my answer is going to be 44. And if I wanted to, I could use my inverse just to double check this. So I could do a calculation to show that 44 times 26 gives me 1,144, and that would just confirm that question for me. Now, sometimes when you do a division with a 2-digit number, you'll end up with a remainder. So I just wanted to show you and remind you what that would look like. So you set out your problem in exactly the same way. I'm dividing it by 31. I'm going to start off with my helpful list. So I'm going to do 1 times 31 is 31. I'm going to do 2 lots of 31 is 62. I'm going to do 10 lots of 31 is 310, and 20 lots of 31 is 620. So I'm going to start with the biggest chunk I can take away from 530. Now 620 is too big, so I can't use that number fact. So I'm starting with 10 lots of 31. I'm going to take away a chunk of 310. And I need to write down to remind myself that that is 10 lots. So now I can take away 310. So 0 take away 0 is 0, 3 take away 1 is 2, 5 take away 3 is 2. So I'm left with 220. So the next biggest chunk that I can take away, because now 310 is too big to be able to take away from 220. So the next biggest is going to be a chunk, 2 lots of 31, which is a chunk of 62. So I'm going to take away 62. I'm going to remind myself that that is 2 lots of 31. 0 take away 2 I can't do, so I'm going to steal from this 2 and make it a 1. And make that 10 take away 2 is 8. 1 take away 6 I can't do, so I'm going to steal from this 2 and make it a 1. And then that becomes 11. 11 take away 6 is 5. And then 1 take away nothing is 1. And if you wanted to, you could have put your 0 as a placeholder there, just to remind yourself. So I've got 158 left. Now, looking at my chunks, I can take away another chunk of 62 from 158. And remind myself that that is 2 lots of 31. 8 take away 2 is 6. 5 take away 1 I can't do, so I'm going to steal and make that 15 take away 6, which is 9. So from 96, I can take away another chunk of 62. And that is 2 lots. 6 take away 2 is 4. 9 take away 6 is 3. So I'm left with 34. And now I can take away 1 lot of 31, which is a chunk of 31. So if I take that away and remind myself that that is 1 lot of 31, 4 take away 1 is 3, and 3 take away 3 is 0. So I've got down to the lowest possible number I've got. I can't take any more chunks of 31 away from 3. So my answer is still this bit down the side here, which I'm going to add up. So it's 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. So my answer is 17. And then this poor little number left down at the bottom here is my remainder. So it's going to be remainder 3. Okay, so some really important steps for you to remember. Okay, number 1, make sure that your helpful list is correct. Because without this helpful list being correct, the whole thing is going to be wrong. Okay. The second important thing to remember is to make sure you're doing your subtraction accurately. Because if you make any mistakes, if you forget to steal, or if you don't subtract accurately, then again, the whole lot's going to end up being wrong. And your final important point is to make sure that you record your chunks accurately. So remember to write these numbers down at the side and make sure that you're writing the right number. Make sure you're writing your chunks correctly. So I'm going to put keep track of your chunks. Okay, and then final thing actually should really be that if there's anything left at the bottom, that is going to be your remainder. Be left at the bottom. Okay, so good luck. Have a go at some questions of your own and see how you get on.